You ever see a man in uniform gun on his hip, badge shining and just know in your gut, before he even opens his mouth, that he's going to be trouble? That's what I saw that day, out in the heat, when Officer Cole Merrick blocked off a whole city street for what he said was routine protocol. Only it wasn't about traffic violations or suspicious cargo. Nah, it was just about a black woman in a black business suit driving a government SUV, doing absolutely nothing but heading to work. "What's with the lawyer cosplay, sweetheart?" That's what he sneered, as if it was a joke, but the tension in his eyes was the kind that doesn't bend, the kind that snaps. He pulled the trigger in broad daylight. She went down hard, right there on the sidewalk, unarmed, hands empty. Blood on her sleeve, body slumping to the concrete. He didn't know one of us did in that first electric second that he'd just shot a federal prosecutor. Not just any prosecutor, but the one who'd indicted 3 governors, 2 police chiefs, the kind of woman whose name made people at City Hall go quiet when you walked in. Her name was Jordan Hale, and her blood was still wet on the ground when someone's phone started recording, and that video spread like wildfire catching dry brush. Let me back up a sec because you have to understand, this wasn't a shootout, wasn't a car chase, wasn't even a traffic stop gone sideways. She'd been driving a black SUV with government plates, windows tinted. Stopped at the red like anyone else. She didn't speed off. She didn't flinch. When the officer flagged her, the engine died with that smooth click only new cars make. And she sat, silent, not moving, until Cole started shouting. You know that sound a man who's used to being obeyed, voice sharp, hand on his gun, already writing his own version of the story before anyone else gets a chance. The door opened slow. No music, no cursing, no fuss. She stepped out, every move measured, almost choreographed, like she was counting tiles under her feet. She had on those big sunglasses, shirt buttoned up tight. No skin showing except her hands, which didn't shake, didn't fidget. Just one arm out, showing her badge. Federal ID, clean, not a word. She didn't try to talk her way out of anything, didn't smile. Just held it there. Cole didn't check it. Didn't call for backup. Didn't run the number. He took one look, tossed it on the ground, let it land in a puddle by the curb. That's when he started shouting again, "Black woman in a federal vehicle, gotta be stolen." Louder, like he wanted every soul within earshot to know. And the crowd started to form. A woman with a stroller stopped. A kid started filming. Jordan, she just picked her badge back up, wiped it off, stood there, no tears, no fear. She said, "I am unarmed." That was at voice low, not challenging, just true. "All I have is breath." There was wind, a little, enough to catch the hem of her shirt, but not enough to hide what happened next. Cole's gun was out, arms steady. No warning, no countdown. One shot snapped off so fast it didn't even sound real. She dropped to her knees, blood soaking the black fabric, her badge slipping from her hand a second time. There was a child screaming in a car behind them, and the woman with the stroller cried out, "You shot her." But Cole, he just stood there, gun down now, face like stone. No scham, no panique. If anything, bored. The video kept rolling. People saw everything. A black woman holding her badge, getting shot in broad daylight, not running, not resisting, just falling. Her sunglasses flashed in the sun, one brief sparkle and then gone. She didn't scream, didn't beg. She just tried to breathe, bracing herself against the SUV. Here's the twist no one expected the whole time. The phone never stopped recording, and the one thing Cole never realized was who he'd just shot. She wasn't a thief. She wasn't lost. She was the DOJ's own, the woman whose signature could ruin a mayor's month. It took less than an hour for someone to leak her name, and by sundown, the video had 2 million views, and the country wanted to know. What kind of place lets a cop shoot a black woman holding a federal ID, then go to lunch like it's just Tuesday? In the hospital, Jordan didn't say a word. Docs cut away the shirt, found no weapon, just the badge pressed against her skin, bent by the bullet, blood soaking the print. She whispered, "I'm a federal prosecutor," not as a plea, but as a statement of warning, maybe, or a curse. And suddenly, every officer in the ER started to sweat. You want a scene right out of a movie? The hospital security guard checked her name on his phone, and news stories came up. Jordan Hale, the face of the DOJ's anti-corruption task force, the woman who'd made enemies in 3 states. You should have seen his face pale, lips trembling. Outside, Cole was giving statements to the local press, arms crossed, the same smugness. "I handled it by the book," he said, like this was just one more paper to file. The camera caught him smirking. But the video kept spreading. Every share was another punch in the gut for law enforcement. Every comment, another demand for accountability. People were angry, not just at Cole, but at the whole idea that a badge could be a shield for this kind of thing. And while Jordan fought to breathe, the system scrambled to write a version of the story where she was somehow to blame. But you know how things unravel, one thread goes, and pretty soon the whole sweater's coming apart. Turns out Cole had a history, 7 complaints, all buried, all signed off by the same sergeant, Dana Wickley, head of behavioral review. They signed off on each other's paperwork, covered each other's tracks. 6 complaints dismissed, 1 unverified, all swept away. It was no accident. It was a pattern. And then, out of nowhere, a new player showed up. Morris, the homeless guy everyone ignored, the one with a busted phone and a sharp eye. He'd recorded the shooting from his spot under a rusted awning. When he brought the USB to the newsroom, no one could believe it. No editing, no filters, just raw footage clear as day. Cole saying, "Black on the street is guilty," right before he fired. That clip was the nail in the coffin. Investigations followed fast. Dana Wickley got dragged in, exposed for deleting evidence, pressuring rookies to fudge reports, running a little factory of plausible deniability. Her arrest was quiet, but her final words to reporters, "This world doesn't run on justice. It runs on who covers for whom," made the evening news and went viral for all the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, Jordan kept silent. She didn't tweet, didn't protest, didn't let herself be paraded as a victim. She let the facts speak, let her survival be the evidence no one could ignore. "I don't need to scream," she finally posted, just 1 line, and it shook the system more than any speech. No hashtags, no calls to riot, just the truth. She'd outlived the lie. Her silence, sharper than any sound, forced people to finally look inward, to admit the rot. Law students, media, old rivals, everyone started to ask, if someone like her can get shot, what hope is there for the rest of us? Lawsuits began, not just against Cole, but against the whole oversight system, dragging every enabler into the light. Cole, he unraveled, lost his lawyer, lost his friends, lost the last of his swagger. In the end, the courtroom was packed, not for him, but for the people who stood up to say what he'd really done, left scars on a community, wounds on a nation. The jury needed no convincing. Guilty first-degree murder with racial intent, life without parole. When the judge read the sentence, you could hear a pin drop. Jordan spoke last. She stood, neck bandaged, nothing but the truth in her eyes, and said, "Thank you for not killing me. Because now, you can't erase what you did." No anger, no victory. Just the satisfaction of knowing the system was finally forced to look in the mirror. The fallout didn't stop there. The oversight sergeant got arrested. The police academy that trained Cole was shut down, graduation canceled. Students tore up their certificates. Nobody wanted a medal. Nobody wanted a statue. Jordan declined every award, every title. "A medal can't cover the bullets that haven't been fired yet," she wrote. So, you tell me how's justice look like now? Is it a woman surviving a bullet? Is it a system finally having to answer for itself? Or is it the next person who doesn't need to get shot before we believe them? That's where I leave you. Comment below, what would you have done on that street? Do you think the verdict was enough? Was justice served? Or is there more we're all responsible for? Share your thoughts, because the silence of good people, that's how this started, and that's the only thing that can end it.